This is Binghamton Now on News Radio 1290 WNBF Binghamton and WNBF.com.
I'm Bob Joseph. I'm back for another episode. Today is Friday, November 8th, 2024. Truly live, truly local. This is the world-famous Binghamton Now program. WNBF! 607-772-1290. That is your number. Please use it to contact the studio where it's all happening. Program originates every weekday morning from the beautiful WNBF Global Headquarters in upstate New York. One of the premier spots in the world. So let's get things started. We'll take as many calls as possible. Hi, you're caller number one. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Hello, Bob. This is John from Binghamton.
Thank you. And thank you for infusing a certain enthusiasm into the program as we get started.
That's my goal. And here we go. You may remember the name Mike Nifong. You remember that name?
Well,
Michael
vaguely.
Yeah, that was the DA and actually became a criminal when he prosecuted the Duke lacrosse rape case, which resulted in a large settlement to those that were unjustly accused. And, of course, that incident was racially charged. But let's go to this week in Broome County and the city of Binghamton and the federal docket, which has Ron Queller suing Michael Korchak, the Broome County DA's office, the Binghamton Police Department, Joseph Zukoski, the two victims, by the way, two attorneys that work for Michael Korchak, two lady attorneys, the Broome County District Attorney lead investigator, as well as a number 10 John Does, yet to be identified, who worked for the Broome County DA's office and the Binghamton Police Department. This case is the equivalent to the Duke lacrosse rape case without race being an element.
So one of the questions that occurs to me is, why hasn't this case received more attention outside Binghamton? It's received scant attention, at least so far. Seems to me that this case, as it moves forward, could wind up receiving national or even global attention.
I believe it will receive attention, but perhaps for the people involved, including the 2025 mayoral candidates, the wrong kind of attention. As you know, Bob, a recent development, say in the last 2 years or so, where U.S. attorneys are perusing civil complaints filed but yet unresolved lawsuits, and they're mining those complaints for potential criminal investigations or prosecutions. This has happened with Epstein, and it's happened with others. It's currently happening now in a number of cases. I believe, look, what they did was not only damaging to Ron Queller, but damaging to these institutions. I mean, my way of looking at that complaint, you come to the conclusion that unless you think that attorneys can destroy evidence, can lie in court under oath, put people up to prosecuting individuals who were proven totally innocent. I mean, this is unbelievable. The financial ramifications for the city of Binghamton and Broome County that are self-insured are enormous.
That's an interesting point, because without any kind of insurance coverage to protect the municipalities from litigation of this nature, seems to me then taxpayers would be on the hook for any settlement that ultimately comes out of this. My guess, and it's only a guess from someone with no legal education, seems to me that those named in this action are going to ultimately try to reach some sort of out-of-court settlement. So most, if not all, of the details are actually sealed, but still it would carry with it a potentially substantial cost for people in Binghamton and Broome County.
Yes, and not to mention the hiring of outside counsel. You know, Jack Sheehan, for years, he was in insurance all his life, right? So he'd go to the city council and say, you have to get insurance. And the city council would say, oh, no, we don't need insurance, And he'd say, you don't understand the reason for insurance. It's not just the dollar amount on the policy. It's the legal defense costs. And they wouldn't listen. The county wouldn't listen. But I'm telling you, crimes have been committed by the Binghamton Police Department and by the Broome County District Attorney's Office. And I'll tell you this, if Jared Cram thinks he can run the same campaign that Rich Bucci and Rich David ran before him, using the police union as the primary campaign vehicle, he is dead wrong. Chief Zukoski is in this complaint. He is being sued. Back the blue. Back honest, competent public servants in the criminal justice system. This clearly shows that the investigation was flawed and that the county prosecuted a flawed case and that assistant district attorneys lied in court, encouraging the so-called victims, the fake victims, to destroy evidence. So this thing is going to get ugly, and it's going to get ugly quick and fast. And it's time, it's time to clean up Broome County and clean up the Binghamton Police Department. Unfortunately for Paul Battisti, these people have moved on, but we don't know about the John Does. But we know that these people that prosecuted this case are still grabbing a nice salary and pension credits from the city of Binghamton. This has got to stop, and thank God there is an attorney from New York City, Elena Fast, who is handling this case.
Oh, yeah, I met her on Washington Street with, well, I won't tell you who else was with her, with another, I'll say, well-respected and powerful attorney from New York City.
Well, I'm very, very glad that she's taking this effort to clean up this county and this city once and for all.
All right. Thank you, John. Let's see what the other listeners have to say about this. It's 9:18 at News Radio WNBF. We'll be taking your calls until noon. The hotline is 607-772-1290. When you call the hotline, be prepared. You could be on the air instantly. Hi, you're on the air right now. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Airport Road Bob. I wanted to follow up on John's comments.
Yes.
It is very sad. And, you and I have talked quite a bit over the last couple of years, and I was never, ever a political person, never got involved with any of this stuff whatsoever. But when they decided to kind of sneak in a corporate park in my backyard, I became very active and passionate. And you know that for a fact. The amazing thing that I find by going to all these public meetings, the town of Union, the town of Maine, I've gone to zoning board, planning board meetings, is that there is no recourse for lying. I had the town supervisors in both the town of Maine and the town of Union lying to myself and the residents who came to the meetings for almost a year. Until I got my FOIL paperwork back showing that they were lying. We have to believe everything that we're told when we're in a public meeting. You would expect public officials to be straight up and honest with their constituents. And I found it very disappointing. I even spent hours trying to have them admonished or disciplined, and there's no agency in New York State that will do anything to a local elected official for lying. There's no recourse. I talked to the local attorney general. I was sent to the Albany attorney general. Albany sent me to the New York City attorney general. I talked to 3 or 4 other agencies that are supposed to be looking into the complaints of the people, but there's nothing you can do. So if your officials are lying on the political side, cops are allowed to lie when they interrogate you. I mean, this is where our society has come. This is where we are and where we're headed. Bob, let's put it out there. What's your opinion? Where are we headed, Bob?
Well, I'm not going to make a prediction, but I do think that it's time for everyone involved in government at all levels, whether they're elected or serving as department heads. I think now is the time for them to be more transparent and just generally more honest. That's all I want. I'm not asking for much, just honesty. Honesty is the best policy.
I agree. And, my father taught me at a young age, that leather belt stung a little bit when I was young. So I learned quick that lying doesn't pay. And as he once taught me and told me is, you will never remember all of your lies. If you're straight up and tell the truth and you're honest with people from the very beginning, you're gonna piss a lot of people off because of your honesty or your values or your views. But at least they know where you stand, and you can have a conversation and move forward. But you'll never ever remember all of your lies.
Appreciate your call. Hope you have a great weekend.
I hope you have a great show today, Bob, and a great weekend. I'll listen to you next week.
All right. Thanks. 922 WNBF with the voices of the people. The people must speak, and the people do speak every day. On Binghamton Now, 607-772-1290. And just parenthetically, for any government official who wants to be on the program, if you're an elected official and you'd like to come on the program, whether you've been on before or perhaps you've never been on, you are welcome. All elected officials in Broome and Tioga counties are welcome to be on this program. Simply contact me, Bob at WNBF.com. All you have to say is, Bob, I'm an elected official. I would like to be on the program. And then we'll schedule a time. We do most interviews at 10:10, but we can be flexible. So if you would like to answer a few questions, not many, just a few, and talk directly with your constituents, you are welcome to be on this program. It's a public service of WNBF and the Binghamton Now program. 924, good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Bob. This is Mike from Montrose. I called you the other day. I just want to put all political stuff to the side and say something I thought was a very positive message I ran into this morning. I'm a dump truck driver, and I was delivering to Round Top picnic area. Are you familiar with that area?
I am. How is that project coming along? It's been over a month since I've been up there. I assume it's looking pretty good.
Well, it's still a little rough. That's actually what I'm doing, is delivering material up to those guys today. But when I got there this morning, there was a group of kids up there, and I was just kind of curious. They had a guitar, and they were all just putzing around right there by that lookout place there. So after I dumped my stone, I stopped over and talked to them, and they were actually a group of Christian kids. And they were having a little sunrise service up there, and they came and they prayed with me, which I thought was really nice. And I just thought it was really nice if people could look for them from time to time if they're there. I thought it was a real positive message on, what is actually going on in the country today. And I was impressed that kids were out there doing that. Just young people, probably not even 20 years old.
I missed it. And, about what time were they there?
I was up there probably 7:45, and it was very cold.
It was chilly and foggy in much of the tri-state area. Actually, I thought for a moment about going to Round Top because I wanted to see from the observation section over there what the valley looked like with the fog this morning, and instead of turning off West Main Street, I continued to get some donuts over at the cider mill. I prioritized donuts and cider, but I still, now that I think about it, I still would have had time to take a turn up to Round Top. I'm sorry I didn't wind up going up there and seeing them and having an opportunity to chat with them.
I actually loved it. I mean, these kids were true warriors of Christ. I mean, if you have Christian listeners, and I'm a Christian, I just thought it was wonderful.
We have listeners. We have listeners of all faiths, of all beliefs, and everyone's welcome. I think probably almost anybody who is listening right now, regardless of their faith or beliefs, would probably have been really pleased to see this group from what you described.
Yeah, I on my second load up there, I wanted to talk to them again, but they were gone. I don't know if they were just there for the sunrise, or I'm sure they got cold because they weren't.
Oh, yeah,
they weren't dressed very warm.
It was chilly. Well, I wonder.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wonder if they do that every Friday.
Yeah, they said something about Friday is Friday Fun Day for them. So it'd be worth checking them out.
Right.
They're just a wonderful group of kids.
I'll try to remember that maybe next Friday. I don't know if they only do it once a month or every other Friday, but if I think of it, one of these Fridays before I stop here to do this radio program, if I have a chance, I'll take a ride up to Round Top, see if they're up there.
The view was beautiful this morning with that fog up there. Oh my gosh, it was gorgeous up there. Can I say something about an event that my church is having tomorrow? Can I say that on the air or not?
Sure.
We're down in Pennsylvania, Franklin Forks United Methodist Church. If anyone's ever been to Salt Springs, as soon as you turn on that road, our church is right there on the right. But we're having a church bazaar tomorrow. There'll be baked goods for sale. There'll be all kinds of candies and goodies and fudge and crafts and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. And part of those proceeds go to St. Jude's Children's Hospital, because we just had one of our members pass away, and that was her favorite charity. So part of it's going to that, and then some will go for our church to help pay for heating bills and costs for the church. So if people are interested in that, it starts at 9 o'clock, and it'll probably go till 3:30 or so.
And what road
really
is the church on?
I call it Salt Springs Road.
All right.
If people go in the Franklin Forks, they come down Route 29 into Franklin Fork, and they make a right there on the Salt Springs Road, and our church sits right there. All you got to do is look up Franklin Forks United Methodist Church, and you'll get directions for that. For there, it's a very nice, usually a very nice turnout, and it's for a good cause. St. Jude's Children's Hospital, you can never go wrong with that.
Mike, thanks for calling in. Hope you have a great weekend.
Thanks, Bob. You do the same.
Thank you. WNBF serving the community at 9:29. More calls are coming up. If you have a burning desire to speak on the radio, 607-772-1290. On air at 92.1 FM, 1290 AM. Online at WNBF.com. And you can always stay connected with us using the WNBF app. Binghamton Now. My name is Bob Joseph. It is a great day for America, and it's going to be a great weekend for America. Hope you can enjoy it. President Biden spoke at the White House about the election results. He said the loss by Democrats doesn't mean the party has been defeated. He called on people to get back up. And the President of the United States said his administration will work for a peaceful transition.
Good to see this cabinet and the staff together. Thank you. Thank you. Please. Thank you. It's good to see you all. Particularly good to see my granddaughter sitting in the front row here. Hi, Finn. How are you, honey? For over 200 years, America has carried on the greatest experiment in self-government in the history of the world. And that's not hyperbole, that's a fact. We're the people. The people vote and choose their own leaders, and they do it peacefully. And we're in a democracy. The will of the people always prevails. Yesterday, I spoke with President-elect Trump to congratulate him on his victory. And I assured him that I'd direct my entire administration to work with his team to ensure a peaceful and orderly transition. That's what the American people deserve. Yesterday, I also spoke with Vice President Harris. She's been a partner and a public servant. She ran an inspiring campaign, and everyone got to see something that I learned early on to respect so much, her character. She has a backbone like a ramrod. She has great character, true character. She gave her whole heart and effort, and she and her entire team should be proud of the campaign they ran. You know, the struggle for the soul of America since our very founding has always been an ongoing debate and
well, you get the gist of it. We'll listen to more of President Biden's comments to America as the program continues. But clearly, he had some important thoughts to share with every American, Americans of all ages, Americans with all backgrounds. So we will definitely provide you with more of what President Biden had to say. Right now, though, it's important to take some calls because the voices of the people will not be silenced. Good morning. You're on the air at 9:34. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning there, Bob. It's Dave from Vestal. How are you?
I am well. What's up?
Good. Hey, I just wanted to comment on, Bob, it's been 3 days since Trump's been elected. And we're already seeing positive movement, Bob. A strong, intelligent woman, first woman ever, Bob. He made history. Chief of staff, wise move, and she's well respected from what I've read. Even Democrats are applauding that move. Around the world, Bob, we're gonna start feeling safer. He is respected and feared by world leaders, and already Hamas. I see that they're calling for the stopping the war, Bob. If that's true, what I read, if that, and Putin has already called and congratulated Trump, looking forward to sitting down and working on it, Bob. We're already seeing movement. I feel safer already. If we can just have peace throughout the world, no more bombs dropping, no more people getting killed, Bob. If that alone, just that alone, if that happens quickly, he'll already be successful. I think it's big league, Bob, big league.
I'm your football obsessed best.
Well, we'll see what the listeners have to say. I'm wondering about that guy that got stabbed repeatedly on the subway in New York City yesterday. How do you think? Well, he can't talk now because he's hospitalized in serious condition.
Yeah, I know.
So, I mean, that happened on, I believe it was Thursday, and they had to shut down the train because, actually, I think the attack happened above ground, and then the assailant went underground, and they had to shut down the trains while the cops went looking for the I think the New York Post would call him a maniac.
Boy, New York Post. Bob, I love a lot of their headlines.
So in other words, it's not actually safer.
Well, no, it is overall, Bob. Yes, it is.
Except for that one guy who got stabbed repeatedly.
Right.
And except for the subway riders who were terrorized while their train was stopped, while NYPD and transit cops were looking for the maniac.
Right.
I wonder if that guy was related to Natalie Merchant. Because she used to hang out with at least 10,000 maniacs. But now that they're no longer together, I suppose at least several thousand of those maniacs, often reported on by the New York Post, they're probably out loose. They're probably not getting the pop music cash that they used to rely on.
I bet they aren't, Bob. But hey, you have a good day in.
You too. I want Dave. For you and the people of Vestal, all I want is the very best.
And lower taxes.
Much lower taxes, not just for you and the people of Vestal, but for everybody in the USA today. Lower taxes. It's 9:38. Let's take another call. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
This is Rusty, and I'm calling from Whitney Point.
Hey, what's up?
Just like to make a couple comments. I'm not a frequent listener to the show, but I did hear it on Tuesday. The country can spin the results as much as they like. What actually happened was Americans made their priorities very clear and rejected a very corrupt and un-in-touch left agenda. It was a blowout. There was no mistaking it. It was definitely not even close. And to hear all the talking heads try to analyze this, simply Democrats, it's their own arrogance and their unwillingness to understand reality. They're so out of touch and really can't go forward with any kind of self-reflection to understand how that could have happened to their party. There will be no unity without accountability. Unity is secondary right now to being accountable for everything that has transpired all the way back to COVID days. Another in touch, I'd like to ask you to be careful mocking those of us who pray. In our own experience, I've witnessed it work. I'm not a.
By the way, I've never mocked anybody who prays.
Sure sounds like it Tuesday to me. Your listeners can call in and give their opinion. But
yeah, well, they can give their opinion, but I wasn't mocking anybody who prayed.
You sounded very smug, and you sounded very arrogant in the sense that. Did the people pray for the Yankees?
Yes, I did make a reference to people who pray for a team to win a game or for a candidate to win an election. Yeah, I don't understand how God picks sides. If you pray, if you're a Yankees fan, or for those who may be Red Sox fans, if you pray for the team you support to win, or for that matter, because I'm sure some people prayed for both presidential candidates. So how does God choose? That was the point that I made. It's not mocking people who pray. I'm asking a serious question. So does God say, well, I'm keeping track of prayers, and the one candidate got 150 million prayers. The other candidate got only 130 million.
As I said, someday you may need to pray for someone.
I do. I pray on a daily basis. It's a serious question. It's a serious question when it comes to praying for outcomes of elections and outcomes of sporting events. I'm asking you, enlighten me, because we both pray. I'm asking you a very serious question.
Just responding to how it sounded.
Well, then you took it the wrong way. I'm asking a serious question. If I go to a hockey game this weekend and pray that Binghamton wins, will they win? I mean, this is a question of faith, and it's something that I'm sure I'm not the only one who grapples with a question like this. If you pray for the outcome of a sporting event or an election, again, it's a difficult thing, and we're not going to turn it into a 2-hour discourse on religion and faith. I'm asking you about your belief when you pray for the outcome of an election. Give me some guidance about your belief.
My prayer and how I pray is a private matter to me only.
Okay. All right. I'll put it down as unresponsive. You brought it up. I pray and you pray. I asked you a serious question, and I'll acknowledge that you didn't want to discuss it. You don't have to. You don't have to. And for those who pray, as I do, that's great. And by the way, the program is also open to those who don't pray. I asked what I thought was a legitimate question, especially in the context, because I know people who prayed for a different outcome for the election. And as I also know people who prayed for this outcome. I'm just asking questions. And if you don't want to discuss it, don't call. Don't call and say, I don't want to discuss that. If you bring it up, feel free to discuss. Hi, WNBF, you're on the air. It's 9:43. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Tom from Susquehanna.
Good morning.
Oh, I'm on, right? Listen, hey, Bob, I didn't get that when you pray. We all pray in a different way. And
I know that, and that's fine. I just, for the guy to say something like I can't remember exactly how he phrased it, but something, maybe I was ridiculing those who pray. Not at all. I was asking a question about how prayer comes into play when it's regarding outcomes of elections or sporting events. It was, I think, a pretty simple question, and I understand for purposes of discussion there is no right or wrong answer. It was just for discussion. I don't know why he thinks that me, a man who prays, is ridiculing those who pray. It was a simple question. Maybe it's too deep for commercial radio.
No. I know you didn't ridicule. That was a little nitpicking there. That's not why I called, but I just heard it on the air before I called up. I just want to give you an update on Peanuts there. You know why they had to put him to sleep?
You mean why they killed him?
Yeah.
Yeah, why did they kill? Why did DEC kill Peanut?
Because he bit the handler. But that was the handler is one of those Nazis that come to pick him up from his owner.
Well, don't use that. Don't use that description.
They wanted to check for rabies.
Right. Don't use that description to talk about people on the program. You might not like the people who work for government, but don't use that word on the program to describe people, please.
Yeah. Well, how do you describe it when they come with more armor on them than I had in Vietnam, and I was a gunner? I had a plate in the front. I
don't believe that they had more armor on them than when you were in Vietnam. I want to see pictures and video to prove that.
Yeah, well, that's what they said.
No, I know what the guy is saying. How come there are no pictures, no video? If this was going on for hours at this guy's place, how come nobody has any pictures or video, at least nothing I've seen.
Yeah, well, the thing was, that's what they had said.
No, I know what they said, and I'm not saying that they didn't go in with perhaps excessive force after they obtained a legitimate warrant. I'm not saying that the way they handled it was right. I'm saying, where are the pictures? I mean, somebody somewhere had to have taken pictures and video of this because they said it went on for hours. So let's see the pictures. Let's see the video. This guy had been shooting video for years featuring our friend Peanut, and he didn't take any video of what happened at his house. His wife didn't take video. These people are video professionals.
Bob, now we got to take videos and stuff for somebody to come in here. If it acts like a duck, if it walks like a duck, it's a duck. I know it's circumstantial evidence, but it's still, I do not like the way the whole thing was handled, and I'm sure that if they handled the squirrel in a decent way, he wouldn't have bit him. It should have never got to that point. You know? I mean,
I agree. I agree. I just want to say that as far as I'm concerned, we've heard approximately one side of the story. I want to hear the rest of the story because the guy and his wife who were home when this place was raided, I can't believe between the two of them, you know, look, my phone is next to me all the time. If something happens, I'm going to take a picture of it. Seriously, where is the video?
Well, I wouldn't, like here, if I'm home here and somebody comes to take my cat, I'm not going to be taking pictures. I'm going to be...
Well, you wouldn't, but this guy's wife should have. I mean, there are two of them. One of them can answer the door and see that it's the DEC with apparently a search warrant, and the other one should have grabbed her phone and started video. That's the first thing you do. If somebody is going to do something at your house, you answer the door and you have your videographer take pictures so there's a record of what transpired. That's how it's done.
You know, Bob, see, I don't agree with you on this at all. I mean, now it's getting to the point where, do you understand we are innocent until proven guilty? Do you understand that concept?
Sure.
I mean, also the concept.
I know. My point is, I'm just asking the question, why didn't they take pictures and video? These people lived their life for probably at least the last decade, constantly taking pictures and video. That's what they do.
Who does?
The people, Peanut's family, the family that had Peanut and Fred the raccoon. That's what they do, videos and pictures.
Well, then somebody should, then what they should do is just try to think. The whole thing stinks right from the start.
Oh, I agree. I don't disagree with that assessment. I think it was poorly handled, and I think the DEC and Governor Hochul should be out there with an explanation. And they also, you can't tell me, Tom, you're a law enforcement veteran, you can't tell me that the DEC or the other agencies didn't take video of what was going on. I say release all the videos, both videos and pictures taken by law enforcement and videos and pictures taken by the family of Peanuts and Fred the raccoon.
Yeah, you know why? Because it's not going to come out good.
Well, I don't care how it comes out. I just want to see the evidence. And then let me decide.
Yeah, but they're not going to do it because it's not going to look good.
I know. Well, that's a problem. As they say, Albany, we have a problem.
Yeah, also, too, the reason why they had to put him to sleep was because they had to check for rabies.
I know. Here's a question. Why didn't the handler have gloves? A person who is a wildlife handler or deals with animals that might be rabid should have appropriate protection, including gloves. How did this person get bitten by Peanut?
I know.
Okay. All right. Appreciate your call. Thank you. It's 9:51. I stand corrected. I made a reference earlier about the episode that happened just about 24 hours ago in New York City on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, and I said incorrectly that it was a stabbing. It was a shooting. And so I just wanted to get that out there. I apologize. Apparently, when I heard the news report this morning, I was just a little too groggy and didn't pay close enough attention to that episode that shut down the subway trains on the Upper West Side while the culprit was trying to hide from the cops. It's 9:52. Bob Joseph. More calls coming up on WNBF. It's 9:54. Because the morning was made for Binghamton now. As we take more calls more often, looks like a decent day, according to the Weather Bureau. Decent. Not warm, but decent, especially after the fog burns off. Morning, WNBF. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Gary from the West Side. Hey, Bob. Good morning.
Morning.
I have two quick points to make. One about prayer. You know, I think prayer makes people feel better, and that's a good thing, right? So, you know, if you want to pray for something or somebody, you know, go ahead. It'll make you feel better, and that's good. Does it actually work? Well, I don't think so, because if it worked, whenever there's a priest that abuses a boy, they say, well, we're going to pray for it. Well, it still happens. So prayer doesn't work. Priests still abuse boys. And I'd like to talk about... How about every day when you and millions, and me, and millions, maybe billions of people on the planet pray for peace. So I pray for peace on a daily basis. And the Ukraine war continues. The atrocities continue in so many other spots around the world, including many that don't get reported. So I'm praying for peace, even now. True. Silently. So, and again, you know, I understand this is extremely personal, and as I mentioned before, there's no right or wrong answer, but I think that for the caller who took umbrage at what I was saying on Tuesday, you know, when you bring up if you pray for a certain candidate, it's a serious question. I know there is no answer. It's not a right or wrong question. It's just was for purposes of discussion. So, you know, how is it determined, or what role does prayer play every 4 years with the outcome of presidential elections? That's now. Unfortunately, I can't ask this question to Jimmy Carter right now. Maybe 10 or 20 years ago, it would have been an interesting question to present to the former president, because he, too, is a man of great faith. Just a quick thing about Trump and war. You know, he said he was going to stop the Afghanistan war. He didn't. Right? You know, when people want to look back to see what he did, okay, he didn't. You know, they say he was going to be a dictator. Oh, look back at his last 4 years. He wasn't a dictator. Well, he said he was going to stop the war. He didn't. 65 people, American servicemen, died during his campaign. Biden stopped the war. Yes, it could have been handled better. And yes, people died when he got out. But nobody has died since that war ended. Congratulations, Joe Biden, for doing something right.
Yes.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You have to give credit where credit's due. And I'll be the first to say Joe Biden over the last few years has made more than a few mistakes, but he also did a few things that helped make progress. And could he have done better in a lot of things? Yeah, he could have done some things a lot better. No doubt. No doubt. One of the things he could have done better, I think, is stuck to, I think, what his original publicly announced plan was, to be a transitional president, and just stayed on for one term and said, I will serve for exactly 4 years, and then my party can have a decent and vibrant primary process so we can pick potentially the best or a better candidate to run in 2024. Well, that didn't happen, so we know what transpired. More calls are coming up. It's going to get interesting in the next 2 hours. I'm Bob Joseph on WNBF. Joining us now on WNBF is Jim Clune. Mr. Clune, welcome back to Binghamton Now.
Thank you. Good to be here. It's you got a nice studio here. I'm glad to be back.
Well, we fixed it up really nice since the last time you were here. You haven't been here in years.
5-6 years. I've been sending other people to you.
You have. You have. When there are special events or things that are important to the community, you've put a number of people in touch with the program, so that's a good thing. Yeah.
Well, the peace movement is still around.
Is it?
Yeah, we're still here. We're fewer. We're getting a little older, but we're finding new people to pick up the pieces.
So, and we'll tell people why you're here in a moment, because there is something special happening Sunday in Hillcrest. But this brings up an interesting point. How long have you now been involved in the peace movement? When did you become active in the local peace movement in Broome County?
I guess you could say I'm a child of the 60s. I came of age in around 1970. I did civil disobedience. The first time was 1973. So it's 50 years, over 50 years.
And dare I say, you've been arrested sometimes because
a couple of dozen times.
Yeah, because of your activism.
Yeah, public statements. I'm not a shouter, but I do try to make a point with visuals.
Yeah. Have you ever been discouraged because after all these decades, after more than half a century of pushing for peace, I mean, we still have a lot of war, a lot of things in the headlines around the world that suggest that those who have been fighting for peace aren't necessarily making a lot of progress.
You remember, I was thinking this on the way over before. Remember Trump's first inaugural? He was sworn in January of 2017, and the women's groups got together a march from the Martin Luther King statue to the Broome County Courthouse. We had 3,000 people there.
I forgot about that.
3,000.
Yeah.
And I was one of the speakers, and one of the things that I said, it has to do with the fact that those who deal in law, guns, and money tend to monopolize the situation, tend to monopolize all the attention and all the power, and it's time that the rest of us got heard from. And I said it then, and I'll say it again.
Oh, okay. Well, so even after all these years, though, you still are active with the Broome County Peace Action and Veterans for Peace, these groups and groups that have similar missions. Do you get a sense that young people these days are looking at these issues, the matter of war and peace, with the same kind of intensity that you did back in say 1970 or the early 70s? What is your sense about younger people these days? Do they pay attention to this?
I think there's a lot has to do with the gig economy. There's people have less stability in their jobs, and expenses have gone up, and many people's income has gone up. People come out of college and can't get, have to just to fight to survive, just to pay their education bills. I think it has to do with a lot of economics, and have other things more urgent on their minds. I know that's the case with our kids.
Well, things certainly have changed a lot compared to our parents and grandparents. When if you had a job with EJ or IBM, a lot of people assumed they were pretty much set for life.
Yeah, well, I've got a job with the post office, and I've got a good pension. I'm secure in that. Some other things don't make me feel insecure, but at least we got that covered.
Well, and that's one thing. I mean, we just saw a strike that went on for several weeks with machinists at Boeing, and one of the key things that they wanted and that they didn't get was the restoration of a pension plan. I mean, they wound up getting a significant raise over the next few years, but as far as what previous generations had to provide a sense of security for their lives after they're done with their daily jobs, that's not returning.
Yeah, and I wonder why. You start to wonder why. It seems like those with all the power, with all the guns, laws, and money, want us to feel insecure, so that we won't bother them with real questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as you know, this is the program where people come to answer real questions. I always say, no matter if it's an elected official or a candidate or just a community member, a resident like you involved in something, all we do here is just ask a few questions and get some information. That's what I like about this program, that people come in, if they're willing. I mean, nobody's compelled. And if they want to share their views and provide information, that's why we exist. So you contacted me to let folks know about a film that will be shown this Sunday in Hillcrest. Tell me about this film. I had not heard of it before, but it was produced, I believe, a few years ago. Tell us about the film and a little bit of background, and also where people will be able to see. It's called The Berrigans, Devout and Dangerous. Tell us about this film.
Well, Fathers Dan and Phil Berrigan, I knew them. I've worked with them, been arrested with them. It's a matter of, we realize that people's memories are short. Younger people may not know what happened during the 60s and 70s, and that a lot of the same problems that existed then are still existent. Racism, militarism, all the various things that need to be addressed. So Dan and Phil, Catholic priests, just went with the reading of the Sermon on the Mount and the radical nonviolence of the Sermon on the Mount, and said, we should not be killing. Stop the killing. It's a very, very simple message. They burn draft records saying, let's burn records rather than children. And of course that's still happening, and we still have to say no to that.
So when can people see this film, The Berrigans, Devout and Dangerous?
It goes about an hour, and it'll be at St. Francis of Assisi Church, 1031 Shenango Street in Binghamton, in Hillcrest. Technically it's Hillcrest, Binghamton Delivery. Father Tim Tower is the pastor there. He's given us permission to come and bring the film and get as many people in. Actually, he's involved in the peace movement also,
Is he going to be there then Sunday?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I figured he would, but I didn't want to assume and say, it's at his
I'm
church.
presuming he will be too.
Yeah, I would think he would be there.
Yeah, I'm a parishioner at that parish now. You know, I like the parish. New to there. Dan and Phil were very inspiring to a lot of people. And among Ann and myself included, it's a matter of, you know, when you reflect upon people dying by the thousands, as is happening in Gaza and the West Bank right now, and we're involved with that, you know, what you have to say, let's go deeper. What are the reasons for it? Why is this happening? What can we do to see? If we can't stop it, at least we can say it's wrong.
Again, this will be at noon on Sunday.
Yeah, what they did was what the woman who, I can't remember her name right at the moment, who pulled together archival footage from the past 30, 40, 50 years and pulled it all together.
Well, sounds interesting. And
I'm hoping. One thing that one of the Jesuits, Dan was a Jesuit, one of the Jesuits at Dan's funeral back in 2017 said that he hopes that in the next maybe 50 years from now, Dan and Phil will be entitled Doctors of the Church, which is even a more rarer accolade than being canonized, because I think they did. They taught us. Not just Catholics, but Christians in general, to say, you know, really look at the nonviolence of the gospel.
So what would have to happen? What would the process be for that to occur?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you knew.
That's an ecclesiastical thing that I don't even get involved in.
All right. And it's first I've heard of it, so I guess I'll be using the internet this weekend just to look into the process, because I'd never heard of that that possibility. So now I'm intrigued.
You know, I don't know whether anybody's picked up that ball or not.
Yeah.
I hope hopefully somebody will at some point.
If you hear of something, let me know.
But we need to hear to hear about nonviolence. We need to hear about the suffering of people from warfare. We need to recognize warfare affects us in bad ways. So we need to reflect on that, whatever your theology is or lack of theology. The thing is, we need to be human and engage with each other.
Devout and Dangerous, the Berrigans. And again, this 2021 film is going to be presented this Sunday afternoon?
Yes, at noon at St. Francis of Assisi, downstairs in the church hall.
So will there be any kind of a discussion afterwards?
Yes, I was just about to mention that. You know, we plan to as soon as the movie is over, or as soon as people start looking like, okay, that we've got the point. You know, we'll gather in a circle and invite everybody to talk, because that's the main thrust of this kind of statement, is to get people to reflect and open up and figure out what to do.
Jim Clune, thanks for stopping in. Hope you have a great weekend.
Thank you for having me, Bob.
1022 WNBF, serving the community for nearly a century. It is Friday morning. The festivities continue with more phone calls. If you are able to find a phone, maybe you have a friend who owns a phone, or maybe you're on Court Street, and if you ask really nicely, some stranger will let you use his phone. Call us at 607-772-1290. Yeah, go up to the nearest stranger on Court Street near the roundabout and say, "Hi, stranger. Can I use your phone to call Bob Joseph at 607-772-1290? I'm sure all people on Court Street would be willing to accommodate you. You're listening to Binghamton Now on WNBF. Let's take some phone calls. Ron in Binghamton, you're on the air.
Hey, Bob. Happy Friday. We've got a nice sunny day. I haven't been out of the house, but I'll be walking my dog soon. I think it's cool. Is that what's going on out there?
It is. It's 5 Celsius. It's 5 Celsius.
5 Celsius. So that's 40. Is that what it is?
41. 41.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bob, I have been calling for some time with the goal of protecting young people from brain injuries, which are associated with CTE and hitting their heads in sports. I just wanted to extend that a little bit because there was you had someone on your show probably 2 years ago. Do you remember talking with Chris Nowinski?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Well, he's the founder of the Concussion Legacy Foundation. They're up in the Boston area. And they have been talking about and examining people who have played football and have shown how many people have had CTE from playing football. And, my emphasis has been on keeping young kids under 12 from playing football because their brains are most fragile at that time. And CTE is a real thing, which isn't discovered till later. I just wanted to do, a little update from the Concussion Legacy Foundation. They have been studying and talking with hockey players and the National Hockey League. The National Hockey League does not believe or takes a stand that the hits in the head in hockey do not bring on CTE. Most recently, the Concussion Legacy Foundation was able to examine 12 brains of hockey players, and of those 12 brains, 11 of them had CTE. Some of the hockey players with CTE, and there's a bunch of them that have been discovered over the years. When I lived in Buffalo, that's back in the late 60s, early 70s. Buffalo had a really good hockey team, the Buffalo Sabres, and they had one line that was called the French Connection. They were really high scoring line, and one of the players, one of the forwards, was Rick Martin, or actually it was a Canadian, Rick Martin, and Rick is now one of the persons that has the symptoms of CTE, along with Stan Mikita and a lot of great hockey players. So I'm bringing this up because for one thing, the Concussion Legacy Foundation has indicated that they're getting close to being able to diagnose CTE. Right now, the only way you can definitively diagnose CTE is after death, when the brain is looked at. They're coming up and they're getting close to a blood identifier, a biomarker for CTE, so the disease can be diagnosed in living patients. And the earlier it's diagnosed, although it can't be reversed, it can be its progress can be slowed. So I'm just putting this out there because there are a lot of little peewees that play hockey, and in our area and throughout the Northeast, and I guess throughout the country, these are the kids that get out there on their skates at 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, and just like peewee football, and they're also in danger of jarring that brain and bringing on CTE as they continue to play. So a message for parents and grandparents and those who want to see their little guys and girls out there playing hockey at an early age, they're running the same risk as the kids who are, 5, 6, 7, 8 and under 12 playing football. It's not good to hit your head. That's the ultimate simple message. It is not good to hit your head. And don't play sports in which your head is hit with regularity. Stick to swimming and baseball and track and field and tennis and flag football.
And be safe. Just be safe.
Be safe, and parents look into this. I mean, examine where you're putting your child in danger. There's literature out there. There's the work of this foundation, and like you remember, Chris Nowinski on your program spoke of it. He himself believes he has a stage of a CTE. He was a football player at Harvard and a wrestler. And so he believes that he's probably got CTE himself. And so is an important thing to protect our children and keep them away from hockey and from football if they're under 12 years old.
All right. I appreciate your call, and I hope you have a good weekend.
You too, Bob. Thank you.
Thank you. It's 10:32 at News Radio, WNBF, WNBF.com. We're here for you. If you have thoughts, if you have concerns, if you have hopes and dreams, 607-772-1290, the Friday edition of Binghamton Now on WNBF. It's Friday morning, and the Vestal Town Board is considering making some changes in the way town taxes are collected in the future. Joining us now to talk about this is Vestal Town Supervisor Maria Sexton. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to speak about it. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. So tell us a little background here about what the town board is considering and what Vestal officials now are doing to get a sense of what residents think about this proposal.
Yeah, so the board is considering contracting with the county for tax collection, because I know personally I've received a lot of complaints from people, less complaints than more requests from residents that need different ways of paying their taxes. And currently, the only way really is by mail, which is fine, or in person in the town clerk's office. And for people who work a normal 9 to 5 or something similar, it's really not possible for them to pay in person at all. And a lot of people, obviously, this is 2024, they want the ability to pay online, electronically. So the county offers all these possibilities with electronic online payments with e-checks, also credit card and debit card, but there are fees attached to that. And it would be 24/7 drop boxes in 3 locations, and in-person tax paying both in Oakdale Commons and in the county office building. But the difference is that the clerk's office in Vestal would not take the walk-in tax payments, but there would be a 24/7 drop box there, so people could still pay their taxes there. It just wouldn't be the in-person experience. But it would give the opportunity for people who work the ability to pay in all these different ways, and it's really convenient to be able to pay things electronically. And so they're asking for that. But we really want to get a sense of where the residents stand on this and what they want. Unfortunately, our timeline is really short because we have to make a decision on what we're going to do for 2025. But so we have done an online survey. Not only online, but we have an in-person option as well. So on the town website, we do encourage everybody, the town board encourages everybody who is a Vestal resident, 18 years and over, to go to the website, read the facts, read the, there's the pros and cons, but there's also straight out, it's all factual. These are the two possibilities that we have for tax collection. And we really want to hear what everybody has to say. So we do encourage everybody to take the survey and to express their opinions. We want to give the opportunity. We want them to meet the needs of all our residents, and we want to make sure that everybody is heard. So not only do we have the online survey to go to the town website, but we also have an in-person option. So if you, for all of our residents who are not as comfortable with using the computer for surveys, they can come to the town hall today from 2 to 7 to the meeting room, the big meeting room on the side of the building. So they can come in and take the survey in person today or on Monday, the same hours, 2 to 7 at the town hall in the meeting room. So we're trying to just listen to people, hear what they have to say. We really want their input, their ideas, their suggestions, and their opinion on this, because we do have to make this decision, and we want to do it based on what the residents want. So we do encourage everybody to take the survey, whether in person or online.
What are other towns in Broome County doing? Are most other towns having the county do this right now?
Yeah, more, at least half. I know at least 8, but I think it's more than that. Towns in Broome County have the county already collecting their taxes, and they've been doing it for many, many years. So this is not a new service. This is a tried and true service that most people find more convenient.
So what impact would this have on foreclosure proceedings? Would then the foreclosure proceedings, if it comes to that for properties, would that ultimately be handled then by Broome County?
No, there's no difference in any procedures except the actual tax collection. And the county offers, they provide all the security so when they have secure Dropbox, they pick it up. But in terms of the procedures for the everyday resident, it is just the added options for payment, and it is also the ability to, so they can pay pretty much any time that they want, whether it be a Dropbox or online. But in terms of the procedures for like foreclosures or mortgages, it is the same thing. It's just a different person collecting your taxes. And the county collects taxes for not only themselves, of course, but for at least half of the towns in the county. So they've been doing it for a long time. It's the same procedure. There's absolutely no difference for the residents except for what is outlined in the fact sheet on the survey.
You mentioned that the town of Vestal is looking to make a decision on this quickly, and tell me about the timeline and why a decision would have to be made perhaps within the next several days.
Yeah, by next Wednesday. We're asking for everybody, hopefully, as many residents as possible, hopefully a lot of them, to answer the survey, because we have to tell the county whether we're going to contract with them or not by next Wednesday. We did put the survey out, but obviously people were very involved with the election, and we're very focused on that. So now that we're past that, we're really hoping that people will engage. We've reached out to the community. We've reached out, and our concern is that every resident has their needs met and is comfortable with what we do. So we reached out to the senior center. We're reaching out to people who are older, who may be less comfortable using computers, and ensure that their voices are heard too. Once again, we don't want to make a rash decision, but we had brought this topic up quite a while ago, and now we have to make a decision. So we really, again, we're starting to see a lot of people answering the survey. We strongly encourage everybody to offer it. We are in 2024. We do want to give people the option to pay electronically, to have, when they work full-time and they have kids and they have a family, we want to give them options to do it in safe drop boxes at any time that they want. We want to provide these things, but we don't but we don't want to do it in a way that is not palatable to our residents. So it is a tried and true method. The county does a great job with it. I talked to other supervisors. We've talked to friends and family in other areas, and everybody. I haven't heard anything negative about it. And all the costs and everything are outlined in the fact sheet. So we just hope people go, take a look, tell us what they feel, and then we will make our decision based on what we hear.
The website is vestalny.gov, and people can get more information and take the survey on the website. And also, as you pointed out, the survey can be done in person today from 2 to 7 p.m. at the Vestal Town Hall, or also Monday from 2 to 7 p.m. So people do have options.
We certainly know. We are especially concerned. We are especially reaching out to those people of a certain age or with certain learning, challenges that we want them to feel comfortable. So they can come in, they can take it, and they're just going to put it in a box so that we'll look at it later. But we will read every single survey result.
Vestal Town Supervisor Maria Sexton, thanks for joining us with this information about the possibility of making the tax collection in Vestal, having it handled by Broome County. And again, people can get more information on the Town of Vestal website. We'll look forward to having you back on the program again to talk about other Vestal issues in the coming weeks.
Absolutely. I would love to. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Have a good weekend.
You too. Thank you.
1044. This is WNBF. 607-772-1290 is the number if you want to talk on Binghamton Now. It's 1047. Let's take more calls on this Friday morning. Nikki in Johnson City. Good morning. You're on the air. Nikki, don't lose that number. Hello?
Hello. I'm sorry. I must have had a bad connection.
That's okay. It happens. This is the 21st century. We're not using good phones anymore.
Well, I just wanted to call and discuss the agenda for the next Republican president, and that apparently is Donald Trump. And I mean, we all know Project 2025, and I just want to make people aware that there is a Project 2030. And just take a look at it. It's moving towards globalization, and the proposition seems almost utopian, maybe more of a socialist mentality. Are you familiar with Project 2030, Bob?
No, I'm not even familiar with the Project 2525, and that was all the rage some decades ago. So it's hard keeping track of all the projects because a lot of proposals are out there online. Every day I hear about some new proposals, so I haven't heard about 2030.
Well, like I said, it's moving towards like globalization. And, we'll have one world currency. We'll have universal health care. It's kind of like, I don't know. I think AI is going to actually be part of that as well.
Really?
Yeah,
AI would be part of the federal government?
No, the global government.
Oh.
It'll be one government.
And where will the global government be based? Out of the UN in Manhattan? Or
no.
Where would they run it from?
I think the UN is the initial beginning of global government, and I do not think it would be out of Manhattan. My best guess would be Davos, Switzerland.
Why there?
Well, that's where all the elite meet up, and half of them reside.
Well,
Switzerland
I guess Davos would be as good as anything. I personally, if I were going to give them guidance, I would say end well. End well's economy needs a boost, and it would be better if they're going to have a global operation, put it to end well, and we could see the good times roll. They could finally find something to do. Maybe they could base it on East Main Street where the old McDonald's used to be, because that's not being used, and put in a 50-story tower if the town of Union would. Can you imagine? People would be like, well, why is the global government now going to be in upstate New York? Because they want it to end. Because they want it to end well.
Yeah. Actually, that's funny because I was gonna use that to wrap up. I was just gonna say maybe take a peek at Project 2030. And,
okay, I'll put that on my list tomorrow night. Yeah. Oh no, I can't do it tomorrow night. I got plans. Maybe Sunday, right before 60 Minutes. I'll look it up.
All right, sounds good, and hopefully it all ends well, right?
Yes, keep my finger crossed. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Bob.
1050 WNBF, the only station today that will be talking about Project 2030. And then in a few weeks or a few months, when everybody's talking about it, you'll say, I heard that first on Binghamton Now, WNBF, the cutting edge. Or as my talk show friend would say, the cutting edge. Edge. All right, enough of that. Let's, we never did give the forecast, did we? I think I was poised earlier to give the forecast from the Weather Bureau, and I guess a bright, shiny object distracted me. Sunny today, high 62. Mostly cloudy to start tonight with a slight chance of showers, then gradually becoming clear, low 32. Sunny tomorrow, high 48. Mostly cloudy Sunday with a chance of showers in the afternoon, high 54. Right now, it's 5 Celsius. That's 41 for you people on Clinton Street and Court Street and Riverside Drive. Don't tell me it's 5 Celsius. That feels cold. All right, it's 41 Fahrenheit. And the air quality is good. Air quality index is 27. So breathe easy. Breathe easy. President Biden speaking with America from the White House said this week's loss doesn't mean Democrats have been defeated. He called on Democrats to get back up. President Biden said his administration, of course, will work for a peaceful transition. This is what Joe Biden, the kid from Scranton, had to say at the White House.
She gave her whole heart and effort, and she and her entire team should be proud of the campaign they ran.
There you go. Speaking of you-know-who. He said she should be proud. 10:53 at WNBF. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Tom from Enville. How you doing today, Bob?
Super. What's up?
The girl that just called in about Project 2030, Bob, I think I told you that about 4 or 5 years ago, and that's been in something. That's all part of the New World Order. That's been on for decades. Like that's not even new. That's old. But since I got you on the phone, I did want to ask you. I wanted to say 2 quick things. One, why I find it hard to believe why the Democratic Party is so against Elon Musk for taking over Twitter, but they're so grateful for Mark Zuckerberg that admitted that he was hiding information and on the Democrats when it came to like crimes being committed or whatever against the Democrats. He was hiding that information and then silencing anything that the conservatives had to say. But Elon Musk is opening up free speech. If you saw the big interview with Don Lemon and Elon Musk just tore Don Lemon apart. Don Lemon he sat there in silence, when it came to the whole freedom of speech. And the other big thing that really disturbed me yesterday was one of your callers that was talking about, JFK involving in our food, in the dyes, in all this stuff in our water. He needs to do a little bit of research because we have the worst food in the world. Other countries.
What do you mean we have the worst food in the world? I just had wings the other night on Clinton Street. That was the best food in the world. So for people like yourself to come on this program and assert we have the worst food in the world, I'd say nay. We have the best food in the world.
Bob, I'm being serious. We have.
Well, elaborate. How is our food the worst?
We have a lot of GMOs. We have a ton of dyes that are in our food. I mean, look at Canada's cereal compared to our cereal.
Well, I agree with you there. But consumers, if you're a good consumer, look at the ingredients. It's all on the label. If you want to avoid artificial and potentially dangerous colorings or artificial and potentially dangerous flavorings or whatever, look at the label. Go to the stores that serve or sell natural products that aren't highly processed. You can do it. You can do it. Don't you do it?
Bob, I do it, and that's why he JFK put out a post to the.
Why would JFK be putting out anything?
Because he's letting them know that he wants. I'm not going to. You can do your research.
Okay, all right. Now I'll move on. .org. Sorry, what my opinion about the food supply. Yeah, there's a lot of highly processed junk food out there, and the reason for it is that's what the people want.
Well, that's what we pretty much have.
No. You just said yourself that you look at labels, and so you're a choosy person. So you choose carefully what you buy and what you eat.
Bob, I grew up on a big farm on the hill with tons of farms. So we had whatever fruits and vegetables, meat, all came from farmers. So we swapped back and forth. Everybody knew where their meat was. Everything was pretty much being butchered on site. There was always one or two butchers up on almost every hill. So that's how I grew up. But what I wanted to say with that guy that brought that up, he said that we were going to take all that stuff from our children, and that was going to create a lot of ruckus in the world. Does that guy realize that Prop 1 that he voted for put men in girls' bathrooms, put men and boys into women's sports? It helps them change their sex without the parents' permission. Like he needs to. That guy just he needs like some serious counseling. Because the rhetoric that guy's
don't go prescribing serious counseling for any of our callers. You're unqualified.
Oh.
You don't have the qualifications to diagnose people who call this program. What's your qualification?
Well, my qualification is just by listening to him and what.
Hey, don't. You can listen if you want, but stop prescribing some sort of thing just because you don't like what someone says on this program. If you don't like it, then turn it off. They don't need counseling.
Well, I wasn't prescribing. I was giving him.
He doesn't need counseling. You don't need counseling. If you need counseling, then call a professional, but don't use this program to diagnose other listeners just because you disagree with them.
Well, that Vinny said the last.
All right. Don't even mention if you mention another caller by name, your call might be terminated. It was just terminated. I've asked people politely to stop the constant bickering between callers. People are bickering all the time because certain callers have a different worldview or have different opinions. That's the point of the program. There's no need There is absolutely no need when you come on this program to mention any other caller. And certainly not any caller by name. And certainly it's totally inappropriate to diagnose. Even if you're a medical professional. Professionals don't diagnose other people based on calls to talk shows. It's unethical. It's inappropriate. It's not going to be tolerated. Not by me. I'm Bob Joseph. You're listening to Binghamton Now on WNBF. Yeah, the phone lines are open, so go ahead. Have yourself a lot of fun by calling. Good morning, you're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Okay, so I am on the air then.
I'm afraid you're on the air. Is this Martin from Binghamton?
Yes it is. Yes, it is.
Welcome to my world. Choose your words carefully because billions of people may be listening.
Sure, but don't you have a right to defend yourself? This last guy was certainly referring to me in my comments yesterday made about.
Oh, sure. I tried to rein him in, and I've, Martin, because you listen, I think, almost every day, how many times I have politely asked callers to show some respect to other callers and not directly reference what somebody else says. If you have an opinion, if, say, Martin, for example, in this call, if you say the best color in the world is blue, we don't need somebody else in 5 minutes to call in and say, I disagree with Martin. The best color in the world is red. And we don't need that. All you have to do, say if you disagree about the best color, just say, I think the best color is red. Bob?
I knew you were going to say red. I was going to say red.
or purple. That actually, if I were to choose one color this week, I wouldn't choose red or blue. I would choose purple.
Why can't we all just be a nation of Barneys? And
just get along.
Just get along. Yeah, just laugh and just get along and take the children in our arms.
Yeah, and free candy for all Americans. Free candy, delicious chocolate, not that low grade chocolate that's passed off in the big chain stores. The good chocolate, high quality.
Not the roadkill that I was talking about.
Yes,
but there's a lot more to that I was looking into, because I have a dog in that fight. But about the last caller attacking me, saying I need counseling, who's it? What's this guy? His claim to fame was back when, oh God, when Helene had just ravaged Florida and Milton was percolating in the coast, and he says we don't have any technology for the weather. We don't have it. There's no way that we can, warn these people. And then you remember that? I mean, so.
No, I'm trying to forget. So anyway, let's look forward. Going forward, what's next? What's next for America, Martin?
I can go quietly into the night, but yesterday there was a guy that called him.
No, don't talk about yesterday. Talk about what's next for America.
Okay, well, what's next for America is that we're still getting that same guy. Okay, and this is a call I wanted to make on Wednesday, but actually Tuesday for the voting. But I had I had appointments. So, but there was a great documentary on PBS on Monday night, analyzing, giving people just information about the candidates and their character. And I had seen some of this before and knew about Trump and his lining up with Ray Cohn. But, more came out about that, and there was 3 premises, and you were actually talking about it. I couldn't get on at that time, but, never apologize, never admit you're wrong, and never be kind. Never be kind. Don't we need to be kind in this? Isn't there? And we're supposed to be. I started yesterday saying it's not a Christian nation, and that was an attack for that. But when you put a guy in like this, and also one other one of his premises was people love to hate. He this is what is one of his premises. People love to hate, and so that's what he does. He likes to. He's a divider. He's not a uniter. He advocates violence. I'd like to punch that mother in the face, put him on a stretcher, and
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that violent talk. You know, I want presidents that speak of unity and peace, not punching people and not excoriating their opponents. Showing respect. Respect your opponents. Hey,
yes.
If the Red Sox can respect their opponents, am I right?
Yes, when you get done with the baseball game, you line up and you go down up and down the aisle.
And everyone shakes each other's hand. And then afterwards they go out and have moxie or whatever. Because
you can't always win.
No. Occasionally you might lose, but pick yourself up off the ground, dust yourself off, and look forward. Say, we gave it our best shot. We came up short this time, but there's always another game.
Yes, and the Monday morning quarterbacking is going on big time, and I'm not going to get into it. I watched a lot of that, and it just there's a lot there that they should have pulled out. He should have said immediately that I'm a one-term guy, one and out, and then started 4 years ago, because you had that guy in your rearview mirror. And this is what the most disgusting thing is, that he's going to walk. This guy's never been held accountable. He's going to walk. We all know that he is guilty of extortion. How many? Come on, guys, give me these votes. I need these votes. He's guilty of inciting riots and sitting there for hours and hours by policemen. People got killed. And this is another thing about his violence. He loved that. He was implored by his family to do something. Mark Meadows. He just sat there watching.
Even Ivanka wanted him to do something. Please, Daddy, please.
Yes. And so this is who the guy. That's why when I didn't know I was on the air and I was sounding a little glum, which I was glum, and I am, of course, because like I said, a zebra doesn't change his stripes. And this guy's not going to have any guardrails now. And so, we all know what time it is with this guy, who he loves, who he emulates. And, it's going to be morning in America, MOURNING.
Oh, come on. Oh, Martin, don't give up.
Well, like I just said, look at the things that he was saying right in the last week or so of the campaign.
Yeah, but maybe it was just because of the pressure of the campaign. Maybe he was starting to get nervous. He might have had access to some internal polling data that suggested he might lose.
Okay, well, let's go back 4 years to January 6th. Okay, he sat there and watched.
Well, I know he did that. That we know. I mean, that's documented. And you're not... try as you might, you're not going to get me to excuse that sort of reaction when, all heck was breaking loose at the Capitol, to just sit there and watch and not take immediate decisive steps to shut it down.
Well, it's a shame that we know he's guilty of extortion. We know that he is guilty of inciting a riot. We know that he stole all those documents and had that. Now, that woman, the judge that has very little experience, he's already talking about putting her into attorney general. Well,
it's let's put it this way: it's either her or Jeanine Pirro. So the question is, who would be better, Jeanine Pirro or the other judge?
There's other options.
Who? Jeanine Pirro or the other judge? It comes down to two. He has to choose one or the other to be attorney general.
Neither.
Neither?
Neither.
I say Jeanine Pirro.
Why don't he put in, if he wants to show, why don't he put in a Democrat? Why don't he show some, if he wants to unite us, okay, why don't you do that?
You mean Tish James?
Why don't you put some people, why not?
How about Letitia James for attorney general to show he wants to have a bipartisan administration? Hey, shock everybody. Tish James for attorney general, and people will be like, what? Is he serious? And he could come on the program and say, Bob, I've never been more serious about anything in my life.
Yep, and matter of fact, it just came up on the TV here, purple. So, hey, we could have a Barney a Barney country. Wouldn't that be nice?
It would be nice. Thank you, Martin. Have a good weekend. Tish James for Attorney General. Well, it would have the added advantage of shutting down all of her investigations, if you know what I mean. It's 11:20 at WNBF. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Bob. Good morning. Beautiful blue skies out there.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's so nice.
Bob, you know what? It's hard to even think with the rambling accusations that I'm hearing, man. What is this about accusing people of stealing? He stole this. You weren't there. Stop that. Usually you cut people off, like you'll hang up. Has it been 20 minutes? I don't know, but and earlier about the praying for your ball team, that's in sports. It's a lot of. I heard Ron talking about. He's so concerned about people. I really appreciate that about the hitting the heads. But in sports, it's so much pride, but the team that's going to win is a team that practices. Prayer changes things, but you don't pray for your ball team to win. If I remember correctly, I was thinking about that. I think a long time ago, I said, "Oh Lord, let these Jets win," and then I just felt real strong, man. Something just said, "No." I felt like a click. No, you don't do that. You pray for peace, like you said you do. You pray for, the joy of the Lord is my strength. You say scriptures. He will keep in perfect peace him whose mind is stayed on him. You say scriptures. That's really what praying is. Pray means to request. You don't have to ask for peace because you already have it if you know the Prince of Peace. But anyway, the rambling, and I said, listen, this guy stole this, and he...
Hey, enough of the criticism of other callers. That's the one thing that we really ought to strive to get away from, criticizing and critiquing any other caller.
Yeah, but you don't say it.
Well, hey, if you have criticism of the host, call up Dan Bongino. Tell it to him.
Right, I agree with that.
Yeah, well, that's my point. So it's a waste of time on this program for people to call in and criticize the other contributors.
I'm not criticizing them.
Well, just talk about the issues. If you want to talk about any issue, just talk about the issue. You don't have to refer. Everybody's listening. By the way, everybody is listening. I just called someone not at random, for a news story I'm working on, and he had been listening. Just everybody's listening. So everybody hears every caller. So there's no need to reference somebody with whom you disagree and offer a critique. Focus on the issue.
Right, I agree with that. The main issue of the day that I heard way earlier was what you said about praying for ball teams to win. I just think it's, sports is a lot of pride. It's a lot of folly. It depends on the team's moods. Why did the Dodgers win? Because it was, all you can say is because they practiced. They played hard, they played fast, they practiced, they caught up. There's a word you can use, they caught up. You know what I mean? But you don't pray for, it's like, here's a good thing I came up with, Bob, real good, that I want to make a point real quick. It's like praying that your clothes wash themselves. Lord, will you please let my clothes get out of the hamper and go wash themselves?
Yeah, what? Or praying that McDonald's rolls out a pounder, because I'm sick and tired of having to settle for a quarter pounder. When I'm so hungry, what I need is a pounder. Would it be that difficult for them to, for a limited time only, to put out a pounder with a big mound of delicious onions? Come on. Am I right, people?
Exactly.
Give me a pounder. Right. I want a pounder at McDonald's.
You are right.
Famished.
Exactly.
See?
Exactly.
And that's what I'm saying. That. I'm a force for positivity.
Me too, and that's why I called up, because I'm a positive person.
All right. Well, have a great weekend.
You too. Have a blessed weekend. Bye-bye.
It's 11:24 WNBF. A pounder, people. A pounder. You know what that means? Good eating and good value. So instead of buying 4 quarter pounders, buy 1 pounder. And if you can't eat it, that's okay. Put the portion you can't eat in the fridge and then heat it up tomorrow or whenever you can finish. You know, if you're really hungry, eat your pounder. If you have just a need for a snack, buy a pounder and eat 1/8 of it. Save the rest for Monday morning. 11:25, WNBF. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, good morning, Bob. This is Vinny from Binghamton.
Oh,
hey.
Thank goodness you got through. What's on your mind?
Yeah, it was. But hey, I just wanted to say two things. First of all, I just wanted to finish up real quick with our talk with I was talking about Bernie Sanders and forgetting the American people. I forgot to tell you that one package that the $1 trillion American Rescue Plan that you said that some Republicans did sign that, but what we didn't talk about was who had the deciding vote, and that was Kamala Harris. She did a deciding vote, and inside of that too, I just want to say, tell Bernie Sanders that the COVID-19 relief package that was in there too, and that was signed in March of 2021. Its major provisions included $1,400 in payments to about 85% of Americans. I know some Americans received that and they didn't want it, so they wanted to send it to on to charity. $360 billion for state and local governments, and $242 billion in expanded unemployment benefits. Because as we were we're doing the COVID, our unemployment benefits are going to run out. So Joe Biden, hey, let's help the American people. Let's help those workers. Let's expand that. And so he pumped in $242 billion. And guess what? That was without any Republican votes in favor. They voted it down.
Why wouldn't they vote? Why would not one or two Republicans break with their party leadership and vote for it?
I don't know, Bob. I guess the news media will have to find them. Instead of worried about a squirrel, maybe they should go ask these guys why you want to do that.
Are you serious? Are you suggesting that the liberal media stop with all this with Peanut the squirrel to drop that story?
Hey, Bob, we got 5 different groups of squirrels in New York State. They estimate there's 2 billion squirrels. 2 billion squirrels in New York State. I know.
I don't doubt it. I mean, when I drove into work today, honestly, and I'm not making this up, I came close, desperately close to hitting a couple of squirrels. Now, because I respect life, I did everything in my power, and so no squirrels were harmed on my way in. But honestly, even in my neighborhood, the place is overrun by squirrels. I was trying to watch Fox News yesterday afternoon, late afternoon. It was still a little, it was getting dark, and I saw a squirrel. And then I saw another. There were 3 or 4 squirrels, and they were just like, one of them was actually giving me the paw while I was trying to focus on Fox News channels. So they don't even show me. See, I show the squirrels in my yard and on the roads a lot of respect, even though there are a lot of them. I show them great respect, and I would never harm a squirrel. But then they're out in my yard eating my acorns and giving me the paw while I'm trying to concentrate on the Fox News channel.
Absolutely. And Bob, how many times you're going down the road, you see a dead one, you either go to the right or you go to the left, or you try to straddle it.
I know, and I know even if there are 1 billion or 2 billion squirrels in New York State, I still feel badly every time I see one that didn't make it safely across. It's just me. So this whole thing with Peanut, now I will say this. I think the liberal media, once and for all, ought to drop Peanut, because after a week, it's been a little over a week, the whole Squirrelgate saga, and I know I jumped on it too because I need the clicks, I need the listeners, I'm desperate, but I'm dropping it. I hereby drop it unless there are new developments.
Well, I'll tell you this whole thing, man. Well, but you know whatever. I mean,
I know it just goes to show that in America today, even though we have very serious issues facing the entire country, that we still are capable of focusing on the most trivial stories simply because we need the listeners or the viewers or the clicks. I say the whole thing involving Peanut the squirrel is a case study in what's wrong with America.
Well, exactly.
Or at least American journalism. It's not what's wrong with America. America is great. There's nothing wrong with America. But I got to say, with American journalism, just this fixation on a squirrel and his friend, Fred the raccoon. Look, I am sorry that it happened. And if it were up to me, I would wave a magic wand or roll back the time machine and undo what's been done. But it can't be done. So I feel terrible about what happened. But the American media need to get a grip.
Well, I'll tell you, yeah. But I'm going to tell you something. If I can go to the election real quick, I'm looking at these figures coming back, and boy, this is really interesting. And what I've seen, what I've said before about we've got a gender problem in the Democratic Party, or maybe this country, we got a gender problem. And right now, I'm looking like Donald Trump is not even near what he got last time against Biden. He got 74 million. He's not near that yet. But according to what Kamala Harris, she's got like 69. And if you add those numbers up to what we did last time, Bob, we've got 12 million people that didn't vote this time. That's why I'm glad, in a way, not in a good way, but in a bad way, that Donald Trump is there. And I hope he gets some of his stuff done, because I'm going to tell you, I think it's time for a lot of these American people to get kicked in the teeth. And what I mean by that is this. You don't know how good you've got it. I've got stuff here all over the place. Oh, the economy's bad. And I'm like, I said, did you guys see our paper on October 15th? They talked about 2024 has turned out to be a relatively good year economically, with low unemployment, declining interest rates, easing inflation, and gains for people owning stocks in real estate. Talks about while the stock market has generally most of the wealth gains, the nation's 87 million homeowners now, on average, sit on about $4,000 in home equity, compared to $240,000 5 years ago. These broad wealth gains are helping to sustain consumer spending and keeping the economy moving forward.
Well, looks that way. Go to any restaurant around here. Go to any restaurant around here tonight, and I'm telling you, almost all will be packed. People having fun. People loving life. Appreciate your call. Thank you. 1132 WNBF. 607-772-1290. Don't worry. Don't worry. Everything is under control.
Setbacks are unavoidable, but giving up is unforgivable. We all get knocked down. But the measure of our character, as my dad would say, is how quickly we get back up.
And we go south of the border. Diane in Halstead, Susquehanna County. Good morning.
Good morning. I just wanted to see if you agree that here's what I do when I see an animal in the road ahead of me. If there's a deer, a rabbit, a squirrel, or anything like 20 feet ahead of me, I beat my horn and they scatter really fast, because a lot of squirrels stand up and they look both ways and then they get run over.
Yeah. You know, squirrels have a natural, I can't remember, I read this. They have, it's not radar. They have this natural, it's an instinct, ability, for the most part, to avoid cars. I mean, when you look at how many squirrels are actually, on any given day, playing out in the street and acting crazy, oblivious to traffic, it's actually amazing how few do get hit, because they have I can't remember. I read it. It was there was a scientific explanation how, and I don't know if it's their eyes or whatever. It's a combination of their eyesight and just their ability, as the Bee Gees would say, staying alive. They're incredible. They're remarkable, but it's true. If there are 1 billion or 2 billion or 10 billion squirrels in New York State, inevitably not all of them are going to be able to get out of harm's way. But yeah, to your point, if you see a squirrel or a deer or a black bear. One time I was driving down near Williamsport.
What happened?
I was driving this brand new car. It was for a station event going from Binghamton down to AccuWeather. in State College. And when we got to Williamsport, this brand new car, beautiful Pontiac, when it was a rental. So when we left Binghamton here at the beautiful WNBF studios, the odometer said about 7 miles. 7 miles on the odometer, and it's nighttime, just after dusk in Williamsport, and this 400-pound black bear is in front of me, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, if I hit this black bear and have to call headquarters and say what happened to this beautiful car, I'm may as well never come back to Binghamton. Fortunately, I managed to, through deft maneuvering, I managed to avoid that black bear. I didn't even have time to honk.
Wow, that's unusual to avoid a bear because they...
I know.
I was on 17 one day, and a black bear was coming down the steep mountain, and the traffic was going both ways, north and south, or east or west or whatever, and it was on 17. And if the bear had come out into traffic, these huge tractor trailers were coming both ways, and he would have got creamed. So I pulled my car off the road and beat my horn, and he turned around and went the other way. So he didn't come out into traffic.
Well, that was a good thing. Did you see all the monkeys? Monkeys got out down in South Carolina. They're on the run.
Who is?
43 monkeys.
Oh.
Did you hear it?
No.
Oh, I'm not kidding. A lot of listeners to the program would think I'm making this up. They got out of the medical lab. 43 monkeys. Some employee who I surmise he's probably been fired by now. He didn't latch the door. So 43 monkeys are on the run. And it's a real mess.
If the monkey is outside at night, something will kill him, like a coyote or something, or a bobcat or something. Will something like that kill the monkey?
I don't know. Now I'm worried. It says if you see the monkey, how far is South Carolina from Halstead? Is Halstead? Halstead's not that far from South Carolina, so keep your eyes open. Because the monkeys, because 43 monkeys, they said what you can do to get them back is if you have a little fruit or a little treat, like one of those, a peanut. Yes, a peanut. Or a Reese's peanut butter cup. See what I'm saying?
Monkeys like peanuts, so they'll want that.
And most monkeys, I'm sure, prefer peanut butter cups, especially the ones that are made in Pennsylvania. See what I'm saying? So it all ties together very nicely.
Hershey makes those.
Yeah, the H.B. Reese division of Hershey Foods.
Hershey, PA.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been there.
One last thing. I'm glad that Trump won, and she can go back to California, and her mate there, the vice president, can go back to his home state, and then I'll be thankful because I don't have to listen to that laugh for 4 years.
Well, what I thought, and when I say what I thought, I'm just thinking about this now for the first time. A few minutes ago, I mentioned how Tish James, New York's famous attorney general, could be appointed by the new president to be the next Attorney General of the United States. So Letitia James could be the Attorney General starting early next year. And then Kamala Harris could move to New York, say, I don't know, maybe a week ago, and then she could become New York's next Attorney General because she would be the first woman to ever be Attorney General in 2 states.
Or she could become governor of New York.
That would be great. That would be great. Go from Kathy Hochul, who apparently is not very popular, to Kamala Harris, who is popular in New York.
How long has she been governor now? Your governor?
I think about a decade.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to look it up. It seems like it's been a long time.
Been that long since Cuomo left?
I don't know the date. Maybe it hasn't been a decade. It just feels like a decade.
Maybe somebody will call in and tell us.
Okay, I hope they do. And in the meantime, if you see any of those monkeys on the run from South Carolina, give them a peanut butter cup.
I'm going to give them a peanut. I buy bottles of peanut butter that are unsalted. You have to give them unsalted ones.
All right. Hey, thanks for your call. Thanks, Diane.
Okay. Bye.
Poor monkeys. I mean, it's shocking, to be sure. Poor monkeys. Next thing you know, they'll be dancing. Martha Reeves and the Vandellas, monkeys dancing in the streets, dogs and cats dancing in Springfield. 11:43, WNBF. It's a fun Friday with Bob Joseph. Jesse in Owego, you're on the air.
That sounded like Yoko Ono's offspring. Am I close?
What, Sean?
Well,
It's not Sean Lennon.
That's what this song sounds like right now.
I don't know. It's whatever it is. It's it, as Dick Clark would say, it's unique.
Yeah, what a prelude for me coming on the air, but I can relate. Anyways, you know what? Owego's got enough problems already as it is having, and now you want to invite Letitia James here? What did you have for breakfast?
Not Tish James. She will be the next Attorney General of the United States, and then Kamala Harris can move to Owego, and then she could be New York's next Attorney General. So Kamala Harris living in Owego on Front Street. There's a nice place. I know exactly where she could pitch a tent right next to the bridge. And, I mean, it's convenient. It's near all the good shops. If she wants a Moxie, she can get a Moxie. And
I don't think Steve would allow that.
Look, if Kamala Harris wants to buy anything at any of Owego's fine shops, her cash is good. You know, what I always have heard from the business world, money talks, no one walks.
Well, I can put it this way. I got the perfect spot for her if she wants to come here to Owego. It's where the old foundry used to be here in Owego. It'd be perfect.
No, they cleared that out.
Well, but that's the idea.
I see. Oh, no. The county health department said nay. Oh, no, that was Mr. Ed. Sorry.
Okay. All they got to do is bulldoze it down, cut the trees and all that, and there's plenty of room to pitch a huge tent.
All right. Maybe she could hang out at Harris's Diner. She could buy the diner, and it could be called Harris's Diner. No, she could buy it and call it Kamala's Diner. That would go over well with the people in the coolest small town in the world.
What are me and Don Giovanni going to do? Apparently, we'd have to find a new place.
Yeah, hang out drinking Diet Pesby's.
You just rained on my parade, Bob.
Thank you so much.
I'm gonna have nightmares this weekend.
All right. Thank you very much. 11:49. Let's see if we can squeeze in a couple of more calls edgewise. Hi, you're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
I'm Pat from Binghamton.
Morning, Pat. What's up?
Morning. I just wanted to say that I felt that Kamala lost not because of her gender. I thought that the real reason was because the economy, and that people mixed up inflation with the economy, because the economy was good, inflation was bad, and I think that they all just piled that into the economy, and then that's why they ended up not voting. And that's just my opinion.
Well, I tend to agree, because if somebody asked me, it's not so much the question, Bob, are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? That's not the question, because personally, I think I'm better off today than I was 4 years ago. But if you ask me the question, Bob, are you paying a lot more for everything than you were 4 years ago? And the answer to that is yes, everything.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I went to buy one of the.
She wanted to work with that.
Yeah, so. And that's a problem. I mean, pocketbook issues, and just because gas went down a little bit over, say, the last 3 or 4 months, that didn't make up for all the extra money I'm paying for my cable bill, my NICEAG bill, just food. Oh, the cost of food has gone through the roof. You try to buy a box of high-quality Life cereal, and I don't know, it might cost you an arm, maybe a leg. It's no wonder Mikey. It's no wonder Mikey is sad. No wonder Mikey is now addicted to Pop Rocks. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Who could blame him? Anyway, appreciate your call.
Thank you.
Hope you have a good weekend. And Mikey, he's not addicted to fentanyl. Now he's addicted to Pop Rocks because of the high price of the delicious Life cereals. Poor kid. 11:50. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Mike from JC.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Bob. I don't think Letitia James is going to be the next Attorney General. There was an article in the New York Post today that Mike Davis, a Trump ally, is a good candidate for that position. He also says, Letitia James, lay off Donald Trump. Keep your fat blank out of our business, or we will put you in prison.
Oh, I saw that. Somebody sent that article to me from the New York Post. They sent it to me last night. Yes.
I was just looking at it.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. And I remember when I first read it, I thought that this was like one of those parody websites. I thought it might be The Onion or something. But this is for real. This is the New York Post. And, yeah, what he said about Tish James, and I'm not, I've heard it all. I've been around the block a couple of times. So I've heard just about anything, but the language there, and Mike Davis, this is what he said.
You know who he is?
Well, no, I didn't until now. It says he's the founder of the Article 3 Project. I never heard of him. So it says, listen here, sweetheart. And that alone probably infuriated her. Can you imagine Tish James reading this with Mike Davis with this quote from apparently he was on a podcast. Listen here, sweetheart, we're not messing around this time, and we will put, I'll just say you, since we're on the radio, we will put you, ... use your imagination, in prison for conspiracy against rights. I promise you that. Can you imagine Tish James in prison? Where would they put her? Broome County Jail. Broome County Jail, Front Street. They have the space. I was at the jail a couple of years ago because they had to shut down one of the units. They could have an entire wing. That
get some more money for federal prisoners?
Yes. So that it'd be a win-win. So the conditions would be nice. She'd be able to listen to the program. She'd be able to call us at least once a day using her cell phone. And it would be... So she could, comment, because she would probably, starting January 20th, have lots of things to say about everything.
Yeah, you have a ton of them.
Yeah. So can you imagine that? What
to heat up a little bit.
Yeah. Anyway, that was a shocking story there from the New York Post. Appreciate your calling in.
Oh, I'd like to give a shout out to my dear friend Mrs. Segrist.
Is she listening?
Yeah, she listens every day.
Oh, good.
She's an older lady, real nice lady.
Oh, well then, yes, I join you in saying good morning. Good morning, and I hope she has a great weekend.
You have a great weekend too, Bob. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks, Mike. 11:54 at WNBF. And by the way, this, about Tish James and residing on Front Street in the town of Dickinson, I'm kidding. I am kidding. Tish James is always welcome on this program, and I never, in a million years, never would want to see Tish James incarcerated. She has done great things for New York State, and I know a lot of people here disagree with her, but she's doing what she thinks is best, not only for New York State, but for America. So you don't have to agree with Letitia James. You just have to understand that her heart is in the right place. And she understands. She reads the papers. I guarantee that Tish James probably reads the New York Post, probably online for free. But she reads the story. She knows what New Yorkers think. She hears you. But despite the people who disagree with her, she has taken what she believes to be a principled stand with respect to the former president and the future president. So You don't have to agree with Tish James, but you also have to understand she's trying to do the best she can in what typically is a thankless job. Being Attorney General, whether it's in New York State or California, it's a tough job because you're dealing with some criminals almost every day. You're facing people who break the law and need to be brought to justice. Hi, WNBF, you're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Bob from Boston.
Oh, yes. Yes, sir.
I want Tish James investigated. See the skeletons in her closet. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
I'm tired of you people.
I know.
You're cutting
Hey,
down.
Bob, I know what you mean.
You're still cutting Trump down I listened today. I was going to call, but my phone screwed up, so I couldn't get through till now. People are calling my boy Trump a Hitler, but when Tommy said something about Hitler, oh, no. You didn't seem to mind when those people were calling Trump that. Come on.
Come on, man. Come on, man. Hope you have a good weekend. Hope everybody has a good weekend. This is Bob Joseph. Don't worry, I'll return Monday morning, 9 to noon, right here on News Radio, WNBF.